A huge zebu bull may not have muscles like a wild buffalo, but it is still impressive with its size and strength. Compared to a goat, it is a true giant, yet the smaller hoofed animal still attacks the bull and stubbornly butts heads with it. The zebu is shocked by the goat's persistence, but fortunately it does not get angry or use its full strength. The opponents butt heads, and the goat, through persistence, even pushes back an opponent almost 10 times its size. You will see other instances where hoofed animals show their character. Zebras are a favorite prey for many large predators in Africa, but do not consider these hoofed animals helpless and only suitable for this role. These striped creatures can truly impress with their remarkable strength of character and also the power of their kick. They really try to run away from dangerous enemies, but in extreme cases they will fight desperately, like in this case where a lioness attacks a zebra by the riverbank where their confrontation takes place. The predator grabbed the prey by the trachea, striking precisely at the lower jaw. A precise hit. Zebras are in a vulnerable position, as a strike here deprives the prey of the ability to breathe. This means with each second, the zebra weakens. On the other hand, the lioness, a strong and mighty cat, surpasses the leopard in terms of brute strength, forcibly turning the zebra's head, nearly breaking its neck vertebrae. The zebra loses its balance. However, if the lioness thought she would easily defeat the zebra, she was deeply mistaken. The striped hoofed animal turned out to be more cunning than expected. She realized the futility of trying to break free as her body was in a very awkward position for struggling. But the zebra does not give up and decides to counterattack using an unexpected tactic. She stops struggling and, on the contrary, moves directly towards the lioness. Both opponents plunge into deep water. The sudden change in strategy confuses the predator, but she just tightens her jaws, thinking the zebra is trying to break free. However, the plan turns out to be more cunning. The zebra ends up on top of the lioness. Despite losing strength, the herbivore at least partially maintains access to oxygen. She continues to breathe, covering the predator with her massive body. The lioness realizes the situation too late. The zebra calculated with precision how to position its own body in such a way as to choke the lioness in return. Of course, not by itself, but with the help of the water. Thanks to its mass and height, it can keep its nose and mouth above the water, while the lioness's head ends up lower. Now, not only the zebra, but also the lioness is in danger. She might drown, especially since the heavy zebra is pressing the cat into the water and trying to prevent her from taking the next breath. The lioness is used to prey resisting, but such a complex situation has disheartened her. She was not ready to risk her life for dinner, but the main thing is that the lioness is less enduring. As a result, she got tired faster than the zebra and decided to let go of her prey. The hoofed animal did not miss its chance and, making high jumps, rushed to the shallow water towards the high bank. The predator followed the trail of its opponent but was no longer able to catch up with the zebra. The herbivore's wound on the neck turned out to be deep, but it did not pose a serious threat as the major vessels remained unharmed under a thick layer of strong muscles, and in the end, the zebra got rid of its pursuer in a matter of minutes. The lioness, hungry, returned to the pride. At least she is alive. Many dogs have an unpleasant habit. If a dog sees a fast-moving object, it tries to chase it while barking, and what the dog will do if it catches it, it probably doesn't even know itself. Have you ever encountered a similar situation? It can be quite unpleasant, right? Well, the horse didn't like such behavior either, when during a regular walk on the beach, a dog suddenly attacked the hoofed animal from behind for no apparent reason. Apparently, the dog fancied itself a cool predator. Well, the hoofed animal immediately responded to the unexpected aggression. A powerful blow, delivered right to the head, sent the dog into a deep knockout. The dog survived, but when it comes to its senses, it will likely remember this lesson forever and will no longer chase horses. Wildebeests prefer to escape danger by fleeing. They are quite skittish and are rarely aggressive even towards small predators, and large hunters shock them, most often, but not always. In this situation, a pair of lionesses executed a masterfully coordinated attack and not only caught up with and captured, but also managed to knock down the wildebeest. Even one-on-one, a lioness has a fair chance against this hoofed animal, and two lionesses will deal with it even more quickly. It seemed like a hopeless situation, but the antelope turned out to be incredibly strong, and even with two large predatory cats on its back, it managed to get back on its feet. The panthers did not expect this, but it must be admitted that they did not lose their composure, and showed excellent reaction speed and skill. During the antelope's rise, one of the lionesses executed a skillful and impressive maneuver. She leapt onto its back from above to knock the antelope down, putting her considerable weight into the blow. But it didn't help. Reacting unexpectedly quickly to every movement of the enemies, the antelope began to spin, trying to shake off the opponents. The strategy of one of the lionesses was to reach the antelope's throat and attack the trachea while the second lioness occupied the antelope.
However, this typical plan for such a situation failed due to the antelope's stubborn resistance.
As soon as the antelope's horns were near one of the lionesses, it quickly struck the cat's lower abdomen, catching her with the tip of its weapon. The antelope nearly gutted the lioness, who survived only due to the natural toughness of her skin. The panther didn't manage to counter the hoofed animal and hung onto its horn. With sharp head movements, the antelope threw the lioness from its neck right onto its horns. Despite the fact that the antelope now had to bear the entire weight of an adult and resisting lioness on its head, the herbivorous strongman endured and not only did not lose balance but also continued to maneuver and run. The antelope tried to literally shake off the panther as if it were not one of the largest predatory cats in the world, but a speck that accidentally stuck to its fur. At the same time, the antelope constantly delivered stabbing blows with its horns. The lioness's skin held up, but the pain from this collision will remain in her memory for a long time. The antelope's blows could also cause serious internal injuries. The striking looks brutal and cruel, but don't forget the gnu is trying to save itself. At the same time, the antelope continued to fend off the second lioness, who did not back away from her prey. To react to the movement of enemies from different sides, wildebeests have special vision. Their eyes are positioned on the sides of their skull, which impairs their ability to judge distance and depth, but expands their field of view. But it is still impressive how the antelope reacted in time to every movement of both opponents. The second lioness grabbed the antelope's hind leg. However, after the antelope threw off the first lioness, it instantly switched to fighting the second one. In a desperate attempt, the antelope began to spin, using centrifugal force to throw off the lioness. The herbivorous animal believed in its strength and began to act as efficiently as possible, literally scattering the enemies that had caused it to panic just 10 minutes earlier. Of course, the antelope is unlikely to know the laws of physics, but that didn't stop it from effectively using them to its advantage. Ultimately, the antelope achieved its goal, and its powerful and sharp blows forced the second lioness to release her grip and run away. One antelope fought off two lionesses at once.
This deserves your like, right?
Donkeys seem helpless even compared to larger horses, and if you leave a donkey in the same enclosure with a lion, it seems like the hoofed animal will immediately become the predator's meal. But it turned out that the neighbor's acquaintance followed a different scenario. The donkey boldly, as if not understanding the danger, approached to meet the new neighbor. The lion was calmly sleeping. When the naive donkey got closer, the predator woke up and reflexively lunged at the hoofed animal. But that was a mistake. Underestimating this long-eared vegetarian was a mistake. The donkey struck the lion with lightning speed and knocked him out. The predator did not expect such skill. The double kick with hooves was stunningly strong, and the donkey calmly walked to the other end of the enclosure while the lion lay unconscious. Horses in a fight indeed most often rely on their hooves, but this is far from their main and only weapon. Sometimes they use their teeth. In doing so, the horse takes a greater risk by exposing its neck, but a stallion's teeth can inflict monstrous damage on the victim. An aggressive ram foolishly attacked this stallion. Rams often butt any animal they simply don't like, but testing the patience of a hoofed opponent 3 times larger was a fatal mistake. The horse did not tolerate the opponent's antics or try to resolve the matter peacefully. The stallion immediately knocked the ram to the ground and then brutally and impressively finished it off. To do this, he used his teeth. Horses do not cut grass but grind it with their large flat teeth. Their jaw strength is terrifying. The stallion became enraged and lifted the ram above his head. It seems that the horse could throw the opponent out of a second-story window. The stallion did not release the victim from its grip and began to shake the opponent's broken body like a rag, tossing it from side to side. In just a few seconds, the horse not only injured but crushed the opponent's spine in front of the astonished farmers. There was no way to stop the attack, nor any point. The horse almost instantly dealt with the opponent. Exhausted from the long journey, the female buffalo surveys the surroundings while her equally tired calf rests on the ground. The hoofed animals are unaware that an enemy is approaching them from the thickets. Credit must be given to this leopard. Datindase say... He is strong and fast, but the female buffalo is more than 7 times heavier. Therefore, it takes courage and self-confidence to attack such an opponent. He managed to get within the right distance and made a leap. The leopard aimed at the calf, which he wanted to knock down, stun, and carry into the thickets, where he could take the prey up a tree and finish off the hoofed animal there. But the enraged mother managed to intercept the predator at the last moment. She was not to be underestimated. She forced the leopard to release the victim and flee. I see that if the panther had hesitated for a couple of seconds, it would have been trampled. The buffalo's crushing blow flung the predator away. Observing the impressive instances where hoofed animals suddenly use force and display their combat skills, one involuntarily wonders, how did these vegetarians and cuties learn to fight like that? Most modern hoofed animals prefer a vegetarian diet, which adds to their image of innocence, doesn't it? Only boars among the well-known hoofed animals are more or less omnivorous creatures, and all the others would be repulsed by the sight of meat, wouldn't they? Mudeichi, It turned out not to be the case. Even species that have a reputation for being strictly herbivorous sometimes don't mind indulging in meat. Previously, such cases seemed like phenomena, isolated exceptions, but now more of them are being caught on camera. For example, these birds, observing the deer, also believed that it would remain true to vegan principles. However, their confidence misled the feathered ones. A wild goose decisively attacked the deer, but more out of spite than fear. The bird did not see the hoofed animal as a threat, otherwise it would have acted more cautiously, instead of evacuating its offspring and attacking more aggressively, as would have happened if a fox were in the deer's place. The wild goose spread its wings and leisurely advanced on the deer. Wings visually enlarge the bird, and hissing theoretically should have frightened the meek hoofed animal. It seemed to him that this hoofed animal accidentally or intentionally came too close to his offspring, and it would be enough just to chase the intruder away. But in reality, it was a well-planned and thought-out attack. The deer suddenly surged forward, charged at the geese, struck and tossed aside the adult, yet incredibly light bird. The geese were in shock. The deer began chasing the birds, trying to trample them or at least strike them with its hooves. The geese, resisting, retreated. Perhaps they thought they had annoyed the deer and it would calm down now. But it turned out that this was his hunting tactic. It turned out that the deer was waiting for this key moment. His goal was to scare the adult geese away from their goslings. As soon as the large birds moved away, the deer immediately approached the spot where the goslings were and began to devour them. He deliberately separated them from the adults, drove away the large geese, and began to chase the goslings. In the end, he got rid of most of the brood of shocked geese, who realized how much they had underestimated the enemy. Do you think it was a unique rogue deer? No. Interestingly, these hoofed animals can quite deliberately hunt other animals, not just small birds. Moreover, sometimes deer hunt animals that even experienced real predators find difficult to catch. In this case, the deer even caught and broke the rabbit's neck. How did it manage that? After all, a rabbit is a very fast and agile rodent with excellent reflexes. However, the deer managed to get close enough to strike. The reason for the deer's success is simple. The rabbit simply did not expect this from an always peaceful, meek and timid hoofed animal, which is the first to run away from any sudden noise in the bushes. This scene looks all the more brutal because, in reality, the deer is not very adapted for hunting. Yes, catching the rabbit by relying entirely on the element of surprise was successful, but without fangs and powerful incisors, he cannot separate the meat from the bones. As a result, the deer chews its prey for a very long time, grinding both the bones and internal organs, and the rabbit's fur. This sight is frightening and evokes compassion for the rabbit. We truly sympathize with this rodent. It turns out that besides foxes, a deer can also pose a threat. This behavior of hoofed animals is hardly new. Rather, filming of animals has become more frequent and widespread, so unusual episodes where hoofed animals hunt other creatures have become more well known. Such cases lead to the suspicion that deer are actually stealthy hunters. Wheel or omnivores that are so unadapted to pursuing prey that they have to rely entirely on the element of surprise. It is important that no small animal knows about the predatory nature of deer and other hoofed animals, otherwise they will be perceived as a threat and scatter in different directions, like from wolves. As it is, although deer do not have the abilities to pursue and catch animals, their reputation as innocent creatures does 99% of the work for them.
and to approach the target as if nothing happened and unexpectedly deliver a fatal blow to a small animal when it is completely unprepared for an attack is quite simple. You know what's most interesting? Pay attention to the deer's gaze. It seems like it sees the camera filming it, and it's displeased that its cover has been blown. The secret to the success of predatory deer is that they leave no witnesses. In general, if you meet these cute hoofed animals while walking in the forest, just be careful, alright? We care about the safety of our viewers. Alright, a deer that hunts can still be understood, but here you will see a truly unique case. Deer like scavengers. This is definitely something beyond the ordinary. A raven had breakfast with a found hare when it was noticed by the deer. They headed towards the bird. The raven was undoubtedly puzzled. Perhaps he thought these hoofed animals were feeling the loss of their furry friend they met during the live-action filming of the Bambi adaptation. In any case, the raven decided to take off. This probably saved his life, because the deer approached the hare's body and right before the eyes of the stunned crow who was watching the situation from the sky, they cold-bloodedly began to eat the carrion. Can you imagine the bird's surprise? So what is the reason for this behavior? The fact is, most hoofed animals have truly been vegetarians for the last few million years. The ancestors of modern deer, boars, and other ungulates were omnivorous animals long ago. Moreover, giant and monstrous boars were actually super predators, which in North America during the megafauna era were at the top of the food chain and could take on saber-toothed tigers. But then the climate changed, and it turned out that hoofed animals were more successful if they preferred plant-based food. Gradually, the bodies of new species began to adapt specifically to it. The teeth of ungulates, their digestive system and metabolism are all adapted specifically for vegetarianism, but as you can see, sometimes they need to diversify their menu. The reason is probably the need for rare trace elements. Deer and other herbivorous ungulates hunt very rarely, but it does happen occasionally, and it shouldn't be too surprising they have close relatives who have completely switched to a meat diet. These are cetaceans. Surprised? Yes, the ancestors of sperm whales, dolphins, and orcas, which feed exclusively on meat and are excellent hunters, lived on land millions of years ago, and were close relatives of the animals that were the ancestors of the same deer and giraffes. But this case still remains unique, even considering all these factors. Why? Feeding on carrion has its own peculiarities. Not every predator's stomach can handle such meat. For example, cheetahs never eat carrion at all, like many other hunters. Special substances necessary for consuming rotten meat beneficially for the animal's body are absent in them. So where do deer get such substances? Mystery. What instance where hoofed animals fought back against their enemies or showed unexpected combat qualities impressed you the most? Share your impressions in the comments below this video, subscribe to our channel, and then we will see each other more often.